Hi, I am answering video diary number 9, and the questions this week start off with looking at strengths and weaknesses as a language learner. As a language learner, I think one of my strengths that I have when I was first learning my language is that I came with a strong literacy background. So I already knew systems and just had to transfer some information. Um, with that information, I'm a very strong reader, and I'm a very strong writer. Uh, but I think that also comes to my weakness as well. I am really good if I have time to process the information, but I would say my language production, especially at this point with not being able to practice it and use it very frequently, is I'm not a very good person on the spot. And I think that's a huge piece with learning language. The main reason we learn a language is to communicate with people in a quick manner, and I would say that's one place that I am continuing to develop. Um, I think in a previous video I talked about in known situations I'm able to do that, but if it's a new situation and I don't always have the background, it takes me a while to catch up. But I don't think that's unique for me. I think that's pretty common. Um, with language difficulties with my students, that one's a huge question to ask, and I think that I could go on and on and on. We have students from all over the world. We have over 100 languages spoken within the district that I work, and our students come from a variety of backgrounds. Some have a strong and very similar school systems from their native country, and so that makes the transition a little bit easier. But even with them, it's the time that it takes to learn language while also learning the content on top of it. Other students come to us with refugee status and have had interrupted education or no formal education. And so they're learning school, they're learning language, they're learning literacy, and I work with high school students, so there's a lot of work that happens, but there's some really amazing students. And with those students who are students with interrupted or lack of formal education, it's not something I can relate to, but I learn an awful lot about how one learns language, and the skills that they bring and the experiences that they bring, and they make me a better teacher. Am I a role model for my students? I hope so. I care so much about them. As ELL teachers, it's almost like my own family. So I don't know if I'm a role model, but I do care about my students an awful lot, and they're like my kids. But I do the best that I can do, and I'll do anything that I can for them to make sure that they have successful transitions, whether that be within the general education or post-secondary planning, whatever that might be for those students. Are my students more motivated? Because once again, I care about my students, and I'm willing, and I do a lot of work for them, and I help them with that transition. So I think I'm a very friendly face. They're more motivated because they know that I care, and I think that just comes to not so much as being a role model, but just those relationships that we form with students. And so I know that I can get my students further because they know that while it's really hard, I'm going to push them through this, but yet I'm also going to support them. And looking at instruction, we have to know where the individual learner is. We want it to be tier +1, not tier +10. And so we have to differentiate with the diversity among our own classrooms. So even though I might be working with a level 1 student who is at pre-production level, you still have to differentiate for all those kids, because each kid comes with their own unique needs, strengths, and opportunities for growth. So knowing that, I hope I motivate them, but I also hope that they motivate themselves. And you can see that drive with students when they want to learn, and they tend to learn it a lot quicker when they feel that internal locus of control and that internal motivation. But I believe that we can get all students there. It just takes the time and building those relationships with kids.